everybody, it's Silent Eric here, and we got some new cards. The start of a new set, the start of a new saga, it looks like. Fate's Voyage Onward. As the tweet said, it is Fate's Voyage Onward, which implies that Fate's Voyage is going to be a saga, much like the Darken saga was, and Onward is this first set in that saga. So even though this isn't the start of a new year, it seems to be the start of a themed set. Won't go too much into my thoughts just yet. We might save it until a bit more cards are revealed. But Nyla is part of the whole demon thing. This may be the saga where we start seeing demons like Fiddlesticks, which I know a lot of people have been looking forward to, and so have I. But at the very least, I don't think that we're going to be seeing Fiddlesticks in this set, not in Onward. Onward seems to be very adventure-y themed, very swashbuckling on the sails kind of stuff. But let's start looking at the cards that they showed. First up, we have Deluge, a 5-mana slow spell in Bilgewater. For the rest of the game, all of your elemental spells and skills deal 1 extra damage. So, and then this is elemental itself, and it doesn't do damage by itself. Elemental is going to be a new keyword, as we can see from there. It's going to be a new type of card, I should say. Looks like it's mostly going to be on spells and skills, rather than on units. Deluge doesn't do anything by itself, is definitely an issue with it. It's 5 mana doing nothing, but it's setting up the rest of your game for increased effect, which could be useful. We'll have to look at the list of what all the elemental spells and skills are. Then we have the Wizened Helmsman. 7 mana 5/5, no subtype, but when you play it, it manifests 2 different elemental spells you've played this game, and they cost 0 this round. Now that means that you don't really want any reactive elemental spells. You want things you can be proactive with, but it's still just generating 2 cards, and even if you don't play it for 0 mana, just generating those cards could be useful if you end up getting something reactive. I'm assuming that Frostbite, like ice stuff, is probably going to be elemental, but maybe it won't be. Then we have 3 mana 2/2 elusive with Attune. That is already good. It would need to have like a downside in the text for this not to be just worth playing in any Bilgewater deck. Just a 3 mana 2/2 that gives you a spell mana back that's elusive. That's already amazing. That's really good. But let's see. When I'm summoned, create a Slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck. That seems like that's probably going to be a good effect. Let's take a look and see if we know what Slipstream is. Oh, we do. It is a token, 1 mana burst to draw 2 and grant them fleeting. Okay. So 3 mana, Attune, so it gives you the mana to play, to pay for and play Slipstream. Okay, all in all, that seems really good. Also, Slipstream is elemental. Not that that matters just yet, since it isn't an elemental that does damage. Then we have Formless Blade. 1 mana burst, deal 2 damage to a unit. It can't drop below 1 health from this damage. So very similar to Prize Fight, which we already saw in Bilgewater. Here is more Bilgewater stuff to lower things to 1 health so that you can then use there's several different Bilgewater things that are pings that if they finish something off does something extra. We actually see that with the signature spell for Jack, and we also see that for the Gangplank one. Don't recall the name, but it's 1 damage to an enemy unit, and if it or 1 damage to anything, if it kills an enemy unit, then it also shoots the enemy nexus. It's like Gangplank themed. So more stuff that will synergize with that, which is pretty cool, actually. Then we get Wildfire, which is slow, deal 1 to the enemy nexus, increase by 1 for each other wildfire you've played, then create a wildfire in deck. Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna possibly make some kind of karma deck. I don't think Seraphine's gonna run it. Just because you'd want to wait to play it until Seraphine was actually leveled up and on the field, and I think you want to just be playing wildfires as much as possible. This seems like the kind of thing that's going to work really well with the new Bilgewater landmark that came out in the last set, where you play this wildfire and then you draw a card. And you play a wildfire and draw a card, and you just kind of cycle through your deck looking for wildfires. You would want ways to create more, which I think you're going to have a hard time with Bilgewater and Noxus. Most of the copy type stuff you're going to find in, not in Bilgewater, but in P and Z. But that just means that there might be a couple different ways to try and build a wildfire deck. This should be interesting. You're going to want some amount of control, though, which I think you'll have an easier time with in P and Z, perhaps, than in Bilgewater, but it's hard to say. Most of this stuff is going to be Bilgewater, and obviously this is going to work with Bilgewater stuff. Okay, all in all, these cards, very cool. I really like them. I think the two Vikrash we're going to see a lot of. The Wizen Helmsman, we'll probably might see some of it, but I think probably only in like spells and decks that either are comboing with very specific elemental spells that you want to get more copies of, or it would be in a full-on like I just care about elementals no matter what they are kind of decks. Either one. Vikrash you'll see all the time. Wizened, nah. Deluge you'll see only in very specific decks, if at all. 5 mana do nothing, set up the rest of the game things have traditionally not been that great, and this doesn't even draw you a card like the one that was in like Out of the Way from Targon. Formless Blade I think is really good. Slipstream is a really good payoff. Hopefully there's more than one way to get Slipstreams. I bet there will be. It's probably a token that you'll be able to get a couple different ways. And yeah, Formless Blade's going to be pretty good. And it's burst speed damage, which is pretty crazy, actually. Then we go to... I don't think I made a big enough deal about that. Burst speed damage is huge. It can't kill something, but it's going to be able to pop a barrier at burst speed, which is typically worse than not doing it at burst speed. It's going to be able to set up damaging lethals that you wouldn't get otherwise. This is going to synergize with any kind of damage amps that you might find. And it's going to be really good for little ping board wipe type stuff like Withering Wail. Just setting up, actually getting lethal with those kinds of pings. So really good. Really, really good. And Wildfire is going to be fun. There's going to be Wildfire decks for sure. Noxus, Aggro, Burn might just be back. But we actually have this that they put out, just saying that there are going to be elementals that were in the game already, and they're going to just add the elemental tag to it. And they actually have a list of it right here. Now, a lot of these are going to look familiar, but there's some that you might not quite recognize. What is Invocation of Thunder? Divine Draft? Interesting. Divine Whirlwind? Oh. Gale Song Call. What could these cards be referencing? Those cards aren't out yet. Well, I believe we have just been shown what the new champions are. Invocation of Thunder is definitely implying that we might be just getting Volibear. Some people thought that Crystalline Storm Raptor, which you can see down in Elemental Skills, was a hint towards it, and this seems to be confirming it. I think we're getting Volibear. And then, in addition to Volibear, I think we are probably getting Janna. We saw Janna in a new spell that we had just gotten in the last variety set, so people saw it coming. But with the idea of elemental being a big thing, well, Janna is pretty specifically an elemental, very much wind. And Volibear is lightning, so that's an element as well that we can see. They're doing stuff with lightning, like Lightning Rush, Mark of the Storm. Interesting. Lightning Rush and Mark of the Storm being there means that Kennen is going to fit into an elemental deck potentially. That could be pretty cool. Talia, Annie. I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you're really gonna do Malphite, but Frostbite stuff. So Anivia. All of those things are definitely. Yeah, those are all very elemental stuff. Even Yasuo with Steel Tempest is there. So there is going to be quite a bit of elemental things, a lot of stuff to look at to see whether or not you want to try to make it into an elemental deck, but we want to see what does elemental actually care about? Like what is how does Nyla care about elements, or how does Janna care about elements? And I think this is heading up towards a mechanic that we're going to be seeing probably in this saga. Like I said, I think the story might just be leading towards a Fiddlesticks fight, but it is almost certainly going to lead to Kiana, the Mistress of Elements from Ishtal. I believe that we're definitely going to see Kiana, and Kiana is going to care about a bunch of elements, possibly even just different elemental cards being played. But that's all speculation. What we do know for sure is that we are going to have Nyla. And with these new cards, she's looking like she's going to be pretty. I mean, not very low to the ground. She isn't being pressed as very aggro-y, so probably very combo-y in Bilgewater. So should be interesting. Stuff to look forward to. Make sure to leave a like and a subscribe for every day as they're putting out reveals. I will be going over them so you can keep up with the news with me. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think Nyla's going to do in the comments, as well as who do you think is going to be in this Fate's Voyage saga. It seems very adventurous. Yeah. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good one.